up, coon? Even think about getting in my boat. Move on. What's up, folks? Gabe Montgomery here, 10 Horse Monty YouTube channel, and I need your help. I'm doing a new series now. It's called One Man, One Bait, One Lake, and it's where I take a single bait, say a chatterbait, a spinner bait, buzz bait, whatever it is, or a technique, and I come out to a lake, and that's all I fish. And I kind of talk about what I know about it and what I learned on the water that day. So I need your help. Leave me some suggestions in the comment section on some of the baits that I should go out and try. Today, this is the episode number 1. It's raining right now, unfortunately. We're gonna go out and try to do this anyway, but we're gonna do frogs. We're gonna do hollow belly frogs. I mean, I got a ton of different frogs. These are just some of the ones that I've got in the boat with me. Got a lot at the house that I didn't bring. So we're gonna get out on the water, we're gonna throw a frog around, and we're gonna see if we can make something happen. And you know, I'll talk a little bit about what I know about conditions, different types of frogs. You got, you know, popping frogs, you've got, you know, just the traditional frog. You've even got some of these like this Super NATO that got the buzz toad type, you know, flippers on the back that just really cause a lot of commotion. I got 2 rods today, guys. I've got a 7-foot medium heavy. That is for, you know, target casting, more open water. I need to skip my frog up underneath overhanging bushes and just, you know, in between grass clumps and stuff like that. And then I've got a 7'6" heavy. You know, this is for more mat type stuff, maybe longer casts, just I don't know, when I need a little bit more beef. And I'm gonna mix them up. I'm gonna kind of play around with colors, different styles of frogs, and hopefully I can catch some fish. But I do need your help, so leave comments in the comment section. Let me know what's some of the techniques and maybe the baits. I mean, it can be a single bait that you're just curious about and you want to know a little bit more about it. I'll take it out in the lake and I'll try it out and we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna get this camera gear rigged up, I'm gonna dump the boat in, and we're gonna get out there and see if we can make a video. Let's go. Hear that? That's a frog. There he is. Oh, he got off. Gosh dang, I had my drag set too dang loose. Good fish. All right, I just had my first fish hooked up. It was probably it was a good solid 3-pounder or so, and I had my drag set too loose. You know, this is a kind of my Topwater rod, and I've been fishing a spook and a chug bug on it, and I had the drag set too loose, so I just couldn't catch up with that fish. You know, I've got, this is a 7-foot medium heavy extreme rod. You know, I've got 40-pound braid on there, 7-1 gear ratio reel, and I'm just kind of throwing this. This is a snag proof frog. Good frog. It's got the inner tube technology. Doesn't sink. It does a good job. I got a little rattle in there. I forgot to put a little rattle in there for top of mats. But you know, with frog fishing, you want to kind of figure out what color they want. You know, this has got more of a white belly. You know, I've got another one's got kind of a purplish belly, black belly. You just kind of got to mix it up and see what the fish want. There's a lot of fish feeding on shad right now and bluegill. So typically when that's going on, white or sometimes a brown, sometimes that orange and yellow. But bottom line is you gotta play around with this belly and see what the fish are looking up and wanting to see. So let's get back after it. There he is. Little guy. Little guy. He was sitting right underneath that tree. Actually kind of made a bad cast, but shook it off there, and you know, it's not what we're after, but it is a sign. White-bellied frog underneath the shade, right along the grass line. Starting out with this snag proof. It's kind of got a white belly and purple top, white chartreuse legs. Just walking along this grass line, trying to get a feel for what's going on out here. We had some pretty heavy rains. Probably rained a good ½ an inch in about 20 minutes. So the rains pushed through, and the sun's probably getting ready to come out for a while. And you know, some storms are going to probably build up again. It's just one of those days where we're going to have scattered thunderstorms all day long, or showers at least. It's going to be hit and miss. Kind of keep your eyes peeled on the radar. Hopefully, you know, we'll get a few windows to fish in here. So we got this frog going. Try to get some frog bites. So I can figure out what they want. It's got a white belly, or somewhat white belly, kind of a dull white belly. Might be one of those deals where you have to just change a couple colors until you figure out if they want to even bite topwater. I don't know yet. Bounce around, try some points, main lake stuff, back in these coves a little bit, kind of in a little creek arm here. And you know, there's fish in the area. It's just whether or not they want to come up and hit this frog. I was thinking they should hit it. Usually after a storm, we didn't have any thunder or lightning. Usually everything will be fine after that. If you get a bunch of thunder and lightning, it definitely shuts off any kind of topwater bite. But that didn't happen. So I think it just cover a little water and might pick up a few bites, get a few fish in the boat. There he is. That's a good fish. That's a good fish. He ate it. There we go. That's a better fish. Decent fish. I don't know what that. Just kind of slurped that frog down. Just working down this, back in the creek, I'm just working down this grass line. You know, you've got shoreline grass mixed in there with milfoil and a little bit of kind of cheesy stuff. And just, I'm walking the frog, you know. The whole thing is trying to figure out what kind of cadence, and it's kind of a slow to medium cadence so far. And I've been able to stick with that frog. It's kind of white, and I'm getting a few bites down this bank, so I'm going to stay with it. We've got some shade right here. The sun's out, but we got good shade. And in the summertime, you know, you always want to look for shade when you're throwing topwater, or really anything in general. But shade is key, especially when that sun's out. Those fish will sit up in that shade, and you can pick them off. That was fun. Got a little rowdy. Just making some casts up underneath these overhanging trees. Kind of skip it back in there and just walking the dog with this thing. You know, you get in the thicker mat and you can't really walk the dog, but as soon as you hit that open water, you can walk it a little bit. And it's really about figuring out what kind of cadence, how fast do they want it. Do you have to let it sit for a little bit? Can you just keep it moving? And you just kind of got to experiment and see how you generate a strike, and then pay attention to how you're removing that bait when you got that bite, and then just try to repeat that. Sometimes that's the key. It's usually just about the cadence. And we're just fishing this grass. There's some decent grass right here, but there's a lot of this cheese mixed in. And you know, the rod I'm fishing with now is just a 7-foot medium heavy. It does better in this open water. If I start getting bites on this more matted stuff, I'll have to switch up to a little bit heavier rod, because you will lose some fish with a lighter rod in the grass or in the mats. I'm gonna hit this next little section, grass up here, and then I'm gonna move. There is a lot of bait in this grass. Bite and missed it. That's been a little fish.
I missed that fish.
Look at that, guys. This is that mullet supernado, and it's got screw-in legs. There's a little screw lock on the back of it, and the legs just screw in. I just missed a big fish. He blew up, and he just took the little leg off of it. So, you know, I don't have any replacement legs, which I'm gonna have to order some now, because I like this frog. It's got a really good loud sound. It's like a grass buzz bait. You know, I fish several of the bootleg, you know, toads, and it's got that same sound, but the thing is you can stop it and let it sit, and you can just kind of twitch it across the grass. So I think this is a cool little frog, but I don't know, that could get really expensive. So you know, we're gonna change it up. I don't have any, like I said, I don't have any replacement legs, so I don't really have any options. But I think what I'm gonna do is, I'm seeing a lot of bait in this grass, so I'm gonna put on a Strike King. It's a KVD Sexy Frog in the copper color. It's kind of brown, so I know they're biting on the white pretty good. I've caught several fish on the white, had several blow-ups, and I'm gonna switch it up just to see if they'll hit another color. There he is. Boom. First cast, made a little spot change, and look at that. Fish ate. That's the Strike King. It's a KVD Sexy Frog in that copper color. You know, there's bluegill. We had a full moon last night. I guess we're in the middle of a full moon cycle. You know, and bluegill, they're gonna pull up and spawn. And you know, this copper color is kind of a good bluegill imitator. I don't know if I can get it out of this fish's mouth, man. He totally crushed it. There we go. So this is the KVD Sexy Frog by Strike King in that copper color, and it's a great bluegill imitator. You know, not the biggest fish in the lake, but still a nice fish. And the bite was horrendous. The fish just slammed it. I'm fishing some of the submerged grass, just pulled into a little area, and I'm looking for places where bluegill will spawn, because you know they're spawning right now. It's a full moon cycle, and these bass will key in on them. So just another thing to look for in the summertime. Having a pretty good day on the old frog. There's some bluegill beds. Here's some active bluegill beds here, guys. These fish just pulled up during the full moon, and they're full on spawn. Have not seen any bass relating to them yet, but this is a good thing to keep in mind. Got it. There we go. Nice fish. That was awesome, man. They're definitely keen on these bluegill. Look at that. That fish ate it. Nice fish, man. That was fun. Good bite. You know, I just saw some bluegill kind of working in here. I fished the back of this pocket. Didn't see any spawning bluegill at all. And they're just kind of mingling in this grass. You've got this kind of, it's some kind of leafy vegetation. I'm not sure what it is. I'd asked Sean Hurst from the IDNR biologist here in Jackson County what it was, and I need to send a picture of it to him so he can identify it for me. But just kind of a mix of milfoil and that leafy vegetation, and pretty good frogfish. Let's let this buddy go. But that was on that copper again. I don't know what it is, but when there is bluegill around, they seem to like that color frog. Well, I gave this a little bit of a chance. The Booyah Poppin' Pad Crasher, that kind of yellow, orange, green, whatever nasty color that is. Had one bite. I'm gonna cut this off and put that white frog back on. Missed him. You can see I got two rods in the boat. Both got frogs. Brown and a white. I haven't tried a black. I may try that in a minute. But I'm just running around trying to find some bluegill beds and just fish the shade lines. We got full sunshine. You know, it's like mid-80s, super humid out here. We had rain come in. Water temps are like mid-80s. and it's pretty clear, probably 3 foot of visibility. But you know, frog, it's all about just trying to figure out the cadence, and then, you know, where the fish are at. These fish, there's still plenty of bait up shallow, plenty of fish up shallow. It's just a matter of bouncing around and trying to figure out what kind of stuff they're holding into. And that's what we're doing. We're kind of running the backs of these pockets. And, you know, I've only tried a couple of them, and I've gotten bit in each one. So I'm gonna bounce around, try a few more pockets, and see if we can get some more bites.
There he is. That's a good one. That's one we need. He freaking ate it. Hey, that's a good one. Come here. Gotcha. There we go. That's what we came for. Look at that, folks. In the mouth. That's close to 5 pounds. That's a good, solid fish. Let me get this grass out of the way so you can see how good that fish ate it. Just fishing that little clump over there. You kind of see it right over here. A little clump, and that fish was sitting in that mat. Just a really solid fish. Look at that, man. Ate it. Beautiful fish, frog fish. And, you know, wow. That was fun. That was a heck of a blow up too, man. That's how you want him to eat it. Just crushed it. Let's let this fish go. Good stuff.
All right, let's let this beautiful fish go. That's a nice one. Really wide fish. Beautiful fish on that frog. Kind of got it hooked in the tongue, hoping it'd be okay. Let's get out of here. Let you go. Swim off, baby. Thank you. That was a heck of a blow up, man. That was sweet.
I'm gonna tie on this Spro Bronze Eye 65 popping version in the Kilogill. Just doing the old San Diego jam knot. Wrap it around 6 times. Slide to the top. I like to do 6 times, no matter what. Seems to work great. And just slide it up. You got you a pretty good knot. There you go. How did that fish get off?
Well, the frog bite is about over. It's midday, and I thought I'd just pull up on the bank, eat a sandwich. Shout out to DJ, and talk a little bit about frogs. You know, there's a lot of different colors and varieties and makes of frogs, and it really comes down to personal choice. But as far as some of the things to look for when fishing frogs, the sky. What is the sky doing? If it's overcast, typically, this is just rule of thumbs, you know, these are, you know, there are no absolutes in bass fishing, but a lot of times a darker frog, this is the Cali color and snag proof. This is the Spro Bronze Eye popping frog, but a black belly, that's what the fish are seeing. A lot of times, dark cloud, you know, dark sky, dark bait. And conversely, if you got bright conditions, something white. This is a Terminator popping frog. This is an excellent frog. White belly, snag proof, launch frog, white belly, and that's kind of what was going on today. We started out, we had a little bit of cloud cover, we had some storms rolling through, and the fish were biting pretty good this morning, but it's definitely hit that midday lull and the fish have fallen off. But they wanted something white for the most part, and this is a snag proof. I can't remember the name of this, but it's just a snag proof frog. It's a really good frog. Caught a lot of fish on them. I have a bunch of different colors. This is the same one. This is the Cali, and I don't know what they call that, but this is a good frog. This frog really walks well, and that's something else that we'll talk about real quick about walking a frog. If you're fishing a mat, you don't really have to worry about a frog that walks. Typically, you want something that's a little bit bigger. You know, something like this is the Terminator big version of the frog. This is a lot bigger frog, moves a lot more water. And you can add BBs in the frog, or
rattles in the frog, just some weight, something to push down on that mat. You know, today we weren't really fishing a lot of mats, we were just fishing kind of the grass line, and that's where a lot of the fish were coming from. But if you do need to walk a frog, one thing I do, and this is something that'll help you, is just trim these legs down. You know, some people say trim one side shorter than the other, and that's, I kind of do that. I think it does help, but the less leg you have hanging off, the less it impedes this side to side action. So I trim them down. You know, rule of thumb is about right there to the eye. That's just kind of a rule of thumb. But in a mat, you know, I do them both ways. I don't think it matters as much on a mat, and just gives it a bigger profile if it has the big legs. If you're getting short strikes, shorten those legs up. You know, take some of that skirt material off, give that fish a narrower target, and that will key on the hooks more. You'll get a better hookup rate if you short. Now, one other thing, and this is kind of something that was happening today, is I was starting to see some bluegill in the grass, and there's a couple colors that I like when the bluegill are in the grass. This is the KVD Sexy Frog. This is that copper color. Something like this is the Spro Bronze Eye Poppin' 65. This is Killer Gill, and this something's got kind of an orange belly. You know, there's something that mimics bluegill, and you know, bluegill are different colors in different lakes. Right now, the water's a little bit stained in some of these places, and your bluegill are kind of pale. And even out here on the main lake where the water's a little bit clearer, you're seeing a lot of, like, they're kind of greenish. There's a lot of small bluegill, and they tend to be more greenish. Now, I just saw some bluegill up on beds, and those are going to be darker. They're going to have their, you know, their spawning colors, and those are your bright bluegill. And that's, you know, like, this is a live target. I don't throw this very much. I miss a lot of fish on it, but you know, the bluegill, when they're spawning, they're up on the beds, they're going to have this kind of color. They're going to be brighter, and then when they're just doing their own thing, they're going to be a little bit duller. As far as a popping frog versus a walking frog, on a mat I'm using straight up walking frog, just the narrow tip frog. If I'm throwing on the outside of grass a lot of times and I see bluegill in the area, I'm hearing a lot of that popping going on. A lot of times this popping frog can be the ticket. You kind of got to mix it up and try it. But one thing that'll happen if you're fishing mats with a popping frog is this nose will catch and it'll flip over, and it's just kind of a pain in the butt. But if you've got mat and you had some rain and there's a little bit of water sitting on top of it, a lot of times this popping frog is the way to go. Let me show you the knot I use. I just use a San Diego Jam knot. I use this on everything. It works great on braid, floral, mono, whatever. I use it all around, punching. It doesn't matter. That's just kind of the knot I go to. But it's a super simple knot. You just run the line through the eye and leave a little bit of a tag and just pinch it right here. And then you're just going to wrap it 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you'll have a little loop there in the top. Just bring your line back through that loop and pinch it right here. So you've got the tag right here, and just kind of pull it down. I'll go ahead and moisten it. And I kind of leave it a little bit loose on this braid because it tends to bind up if you don't. And then I'll grab that knot and I'll actually slide it down. And then I'll pull, and that knot will just slide into place. Trim your tag. That's a San Diego Jam knot. It's a great knot. If you haven't tried it, check it out. Works excellent. One more thing I'll tell you about frogs. Sometimes I will take, this is a Gavacho frog. The hooks are already pointed up. But if you've got a frog where, like this snag proof, the hooks are kind of laying right on the top like that, I will actually take some pliers and I'll bend them up just, I mean, like a 1/16 of, not even a 1/16 of an inch, like a 32nd of an inch. Just bend those points up a little bit. You don't want them up so much that they're catching grass, but if you just bring them up just a hair, you're gonna hook up a lot better. If you got any baits you want me to try, any techniques you want me to try, leave them in the comment section. This is one man, one bait, one lake. And I'm gonna do a few more of these. It's kind of fun, you know. It's simple. I grabbed 2 rods out of the truck, tied 2 different frogs on. I kind of alternated between several different frogs, and man, it was super simple. I never even turned my graphs on today. Just looking for the right areas, keying on the backs of pockets, and just the mixture of grass. You know, a lot of times, you know, 2 different kinds of grass is something you're key on. Of course, any kind of hardwood in the grass, and we caught a few fish. You know, I caught one really good fish. I had opportunities to catch a couple more big ones that blew up. You know, just that's frog fishing sometimes. But appreciate you coming on this adventure. Give me a thumbs up if you appreciate the content, and subscribe to the channel. Definitely support this channel and any channel that you like and you enjoy their content, because that's a way of giving back to us content creators. But comment section, techniques. Till next time.